Welcome to Africa Dispatch FWOP 3. And first, before we even introduce who we're talking to right now, we got to address the elephant in the room, which is this.
Termite mound.
Yeah, this is for you people watching and not listening, this is one of the most, this is like a major feature of the landscape, this is a termite hill. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and they got a little bit of an iceberg kind of thing going on. What you see above ground is much less than what's underground. So that's maybe a third of what's actually going on.
Yeah, and this thing it's a mound, looks like a mound of dirt, probably maybe 9 feet high, 8 or 9 feet high, riddled with holes, but they're all over out here. And there's even a fancy term for this, because we're near a big lake shore, and so we're in a big open grass flat. It's kind of reminiscent of, it'd be reminiscent of like oak savanna in the U.S. or in Florida. You get that grassland with what am I trying to think of, Seth? The grassland with the oak hammocks. But these hammocks are often based around these giant termite mounds, which have a name. It's Morgan?
Say again?
The little territory made by the termite mound. Termitalia.
Yeah, it's the termite mound, and then all these trees have what's called termitalia association. So they like
got a bit of a symbiotic
change in the soil
relationship
that's created by the kind of moisture and humidity that's going on inside that termite mound.
Yeah, so if you were here scanning around, it's all grass. If it's standing up, it's like 6 foot grass with all these little clusters of trees here and there, and they're built around these giant termite mounds. With that said, is it Dodds?
Dodds, yeah.
George Dodds, yeah. Who we're going to talk to him today because he is doing his 2nd year apprenticeship to become a professional hunter.
Correct, yeah.
And you are what's known as, you have to explain this to people, you're a white Kenyan.
I'm a white Kenyan.
Yeah, explain that to everybody.
Yeah, fifth generation Kenyan. My great grandfather came to Kenya in the early 1900s, and yeah, we've born and bred every generation since. Out of a small farming area in Kenya called Laikipia, which is sort of slightly north of central Kenya.
And you guys farm and ranch there?
Yeah. Correct terminology would be a ranch. So an indigenous cattle breed called the Baran cattle, and it's just a bit of a ranch and a small bit of crop farming, but yeah, full of game. Much like what we got going on here, just wilderness, really. Yeah.
Tell people why elephants hate drones.
Sound like bees. Yeah, elephants hate bees.
I didn't know elephants hated bees.
Yeah, a lot of small scale farmers actually put beehives up around their crops, because the elephants just hate that noise, and it really helps them keep them away from their crops. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
So when you guys, what is the number one things that do crop damage in Kenya? The number one like farm and ranch hassles?
Elephant would probably have the biggest impact just because of sheer size. So they get into a small piece of land, they do a huge amount of damage. They can a group of elephant can clean out acres in a matter of hours. Of a maize crop. So yeah, they probably do the biggest damage, and then we've got the bird species, the quelea, which also do a massive amount of damage. But sort of large mammals would definitely be elephant, and they're also so clever. They know how to break electric fences. They can think about how to get into it.
And what kind of stuff kills your cattle?
Lions mostly. Lions and leopard. Leopard will take out our calves. But lion take out our big fully grown animals.
So on your ranch, at any given time, there could be African lions, elephants, and leopards. Could be like in among your livestock.
Absolutely. Or on your... Yeah, we've usually got about 4 resident lions on the farm, on the ranch, and anywhere up to 60 elephant at one time. They move a lot, depending on season and water availability, as well as the cropping season for small-scale farmers around us. So they'll move into an area when the crops are nearly ripening, and they'll come and eat it. And then a lot of leopard. It's quite thick bush where we are, and then we've got the buffalo, eland, and all the antelope species as well.
And a peculiarity of Kenya, or maybe it's not so peculiar in terms of all African countries, but a thing that always has surprised me as I've tried learning a little bit about Africa and reading books about Africa is that Kenya, years ago in the 70s, I believe, banned hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, just like banned hunting across the board. What was that conversation like? Why did that occur?
I can't speak much to why I wasn't around then, but yeah, they banned all large game hunting. They kept bird hunting for a long time. I think that was banned in the sort of mid 2000s. But yeah, they banned all sort of plains game, dangerous game hunting in I think 76, 77. And yeah, no chance of it opening anytime soon again.
Was it like when it happened? Was it regarded as a conservation move or just a cultural move?
I think a conservation move.
Okay.
I think there was a lot of pressure to sort of move with the times. I think that was sort of the driving force. And yeah, so definitely a big conservation move, really. Yeah.
So even though growing up in Kenya, you've come to like you would go elsewhere in Africa and do big game hunting.
Yeah.
Kind of like I imagine. Would it feel? You're probably not that familiar with the States, but I mean. Is it fairly easy and fluid to bounce around and hunt?
It is. It's definitely we can access areas. I mean, Southern Africa is probably the most popular and most accessible, but definitely Tanzania, Uganda, Central Africa, Cameroon. Those you can get to these places.
But you're prior to the ban, you guys were a hunting family.
Yeah. We my sort of great grandparents and great grandparents were all hunters, and yeah, been doing it for a long time, and still shooting. We do a lot of sort of sport shooting.
Yeah.
A lot of sport shooting is big in Kenya, and that's So there's no hunting, but there's still a lot of sport shooting.
And you fish there a lot.
A lot of fishing, great fishing.
Yeah.
Some really interesting species as well.
Like what? Like describe the fishing to me. Like what kind of fishing does a person do in Kenya?
Sort of recreational fishing. Probably some of the most popular will be Nile Perch.
Okay.
Which is a really big. I mean, they used to get up to sort of 200, 250 pounds freshwater fish.
Oh, I thought a Nile Perch was a tilapia.
No. So Nile Perch eat tilapia.
Okay.
That's a really good bait that we use, live bait.
So
tilapia.
Nile Perch, that's not the same thing.
No, totally different. Much bigger. Yeah, I mean, when we're fishing for big Nile Perch, we'll use up to a 2 pound size tilapia to catch a Nile Perch.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they're big, and they're a bit like bass in the way they sort of ambush and love structure. So it's really fun fishing. Yeah, and you
guys eat those?
We do. We keep the little ones. I mean, they're getting a bit rare now. The numbers, there's a lot of pressure on them, fishing pressure. So we release a lot of the big ones. But they're very good eating. And where we catch them is a place of absolute beauty. Most guys fish in a place called Lake Turkana, which is, I think, one of, if not the longest desert lake in the world.
Okay.
Which is northern Kenya, and it's what we would call a safari, not a hunting safari, but a safari just getting there. Take you 2 or 3 days, all off-road driving, no access to sort of shops or anything like that. So yeah, it's a bit of an adventure just getting there, which makes it really special. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to refer real quick to the very familiar uniform that people might see with people from Africa that hunt.
Yeah.
You guys run the shorts.
Yep.
Even though you're getting mauled all day by tsetse flies.
Yeah, I hate hunting or sort of cruising around in trousers. I just get too hot. I run hot.
Oh yeah. But then the flip side is you get mauled by flies.
Get mauled by flies. I kind of look at it that you kind of just let them eat you for 2 weeks and then your body gets used to it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm kind of like a few of us Americans are having some
reactions,
some body feelings.
Yeah, no, yeah. we all get those. Yeah, first week is always tough.
Yeah, like a tingly, poison ivy kind of feel from too many tsetse fly bites.
Definitely some welts. Yeah, bit of
so that fades away.
Yeah. After 1 or 2 weeks, it goes. Yeah,
And you run those cute little gaiters.
Yeah, run the gaiters, keep the birds and everything out of the socks.
So
Yeah,
that's keeping your socks clean.
yeah, keep the socks clean. Nothing worse than itchy socks.
Got it.
Yeah, and then just some good quiet leather boots. Yeah.
You want to, like, I understand you got your ranch responsibilities, but you're doing an apprenticeship to become a professional hunter.
Indeed, yeah.
To hunt in Tanzania and be a hunting, professional hunter being like what we would call a hunting guide in Tanzania.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're going to walk away from ranching?
No, I'll do it part-time.
Okay.
Hunting is very seasonal, and it also depends on how many trips you can do. So I'll definitely sort of stay on the farm, run the farm, and then when I get a trip, I'll come down and do the work. Yeah.
What draws you to doing the professional hunting?
I grew up a bush kid on the farm, just being outdoors. Both my parents were photographic guides as well. My mum was a botanist, so
Yeah, she described some species of plants.
yeah, described a few. She specialized in aloes, so aloe vera, those
yeah.
sort of African species. So she's described a couple of aloes. So my childhood was sort of spent traveling across Kenya and into Ethiopia, searching for different species of plants, which took us to some incredible places, far out places that most people don't go to, off the beaten track, and just fell in love with being in the bush, and it just gelled with me, and this is as close as I can get to that. Yeah.
Is the process formal? Meaning you have to do 2 years of apprenticeship. Is that because of who you want? Because you want to work for Robin Hurt Safaris, or is that like a government thing?
It's a government thing. I think that's a standard for all wannabe professional hunters. You've got to do an apprenticeship with one of the recognized hunting outfitters or hunting companies like Robin Hurt Safaris. And then once you finish that, then you've got a theoretical exam, which is pretty heavy, and you've got to get all the law and everything. It's quite extensive. So you finish your 2 years of apprenticeship. I think obviously you have to be recommended to actually sit the exam. So if you've done your apprenticeship and the outfitter thinks, oh, he's not up to the task, you just won't be recommended to sit the exam, and then you can't sit the exam without a recommendation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Morgan mentioned to me, like, I was kind of marveling how he was born in Australia, came here and learned the Swahili language, Kiswahili, as he always says. And he said, you can kid yourself and think you can do it without, but you got to have some language
absolutely
skill. But in Kenya, the national language is English.
It's also Kiswahili, I would say.
Okay, all right.
Our Kiswahili is very different to Tanzanian Kiswahili. So the first couple of months for me, every time I get back down here, is quite a challenge. I would describe Tanzanian Swahili as sort of a very, very correct, very polite language. Whereas
I'm sorry, which one is?
the Tanzanian.
Okay.
Tanzanian, whereas our Kenyan Swahili is quite colloquial. A lot of other languages thrown in there. So I can converse with anyone back home in Kenya and they'll understand me, but I need to think a bit and sort of use the correct words, and not sort of use all these colloquialisms that we use in Kenya.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
it's tricky, and I think if you don't speak Swahili, I mean most of our guys don't speak English, so the language barrier is a big thing.
So did you grow up bilingual?
Yeah. I actually spoke Swahili before I spoke English. My mum and dad said, well, he's obviously going to speak English. I went to an English boarding school, so they just said, okay, everyone don't speak to these kids in English. And they spoke to us in Swahili until we were fluent in Swahili, and then once we were fluent, then they spoke to us in English.
Got it.
Yeah, which has been a godsend. Yeah.
So you'll finish apprenticing this year,
Yeah.
and then next season, and we should clarify, season is, what do you guys think of as a season, a hunting season?
So typically in Western Tanzania, where we are now, it'll be from July up to October.
Okay.
So hopefully by next July I'll be fully qualified if all goes well.
And you might come here and hunt.
That's the goal. Yeah. This is the standard for me. This Luganzo Tongwe Game Reserve is, it's unbelievable. It's pure
it's really
pristine
something.
wilderness, as you've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing that, prior to coming here, I went out to Maasai land,
Yeah.
and that was so cool in its own right, where you're out in that like very desert-like open grassland, and you know, every couple hours or whatever, you see
seeing stuff, yeah.
you're seeing. I mean, well, one, you can never look around and not find out in the open. You can never look around and not find animals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
Just
the concentration is.
there's always something there, but every couple hours or whatever, there's like a group of Maasai kids
With their
coming through with some
cattle,
goats. So
goats,
like
or- yeah.
their parents, you know, they make water runs with donkeys loaded with jugs of water. So
Yeah.
you'll see a string of, you know, women with, you know, a dozen donkeys loaded with water going across, and it's like a working landscape. And mixed within this is all this wildlife, and it's stunning. It's like amazing. But here you are in like one of the pure, more vast chunks of wilderness I've ever been in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got different sort of classes of land use in these wildlife areas in Tanzania, and this area is a game reserve. So there's no permanent settlement. There's no semi-permanent settlement. The only access guys will have is permitted honey harvesting, which is you've seen all those beehives.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated by it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So we get guys coming in about twice a year to come and check on their hives, harvest their honey. But other than that, it's pristine wilderness. Yeah, there's no one here. There's nothing here.
All right.
Yeah.
And then when you start, you'll engage with clients.
Yeah.
Now, do you imagine that you'd probably have clients from off the continent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the majority is American clients or European clients.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the next trick is to get your name out there and start getting some trips. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll hopefully get some trips for the company if I make the cut. Yeah. So it's a long, slow process, but it's I think that's what it's all about. That's at the end of the day when you do come out here, you're hunting with someone who knows what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to interfere in it, but good luck on getting the okay.
Thank you.
I feel like you might be gonna. Yeah, I feel like you're maybe gonna get the okay. I haven't. Like, I
hope
feel like
so.
somehow if you weren't, we wouldn't be talking to you. I just feel like it'd be awkward, but
Pressure's on.
I feel like you might get the okay.
Better do some studying.
All right. Last note: when we ended the last FWOP edition, we were heading out back on the trail of some buffalo, and that night we got one. I'm not gonna give you any more detail than that, but we got one. We've been eating them.
Yep. And he's a beauty of
We ate
specimen.
them
Yeah.
3 times yesterday and 2 times today.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Yeah, that's all we're doing.
All right, thanks, man.
Cool.